Hey, what's up, y'all? Thanks for joining us for another episode of Crash and Chugg. In this week's podcast, we have Cal K, who also goes by at MTB Professor. He's a mentor, coach of at Team Enduro Lab. He also started up at Trail Boss Coalition here in San Antonio to try to put all the efforts in trail building and bring more progressive trails, working in line with a nonprofit also known as Storm. In this episode, we kind of get into mental health, as well as trail building and all the nuances of what it is to pick dirt and all kinds of obstacles you got to deal with. Also, we get into a little bit of the history of what San Antonio mountain biking was and where it's going. And if you don't have time to check us out on this video, definitely check us out. We're streaming on about 98% of the podcast platforms. Just search Crash and Chugg and listen to us on your commute to work or your favorite trailhead. To be updated with the latest content, please click the bell and subscribe below. I just do it afterwards, like the voiceover and stuff. But hey, man, thanks for showing up and stuff. I know we tried to do this yesterday.
It's all good, yeah.
Yeah, but it ended up working out though, man. You got to see the trail system here.
Yeah, dude, that was very cool. Like it's cool that the neighborhoods, your HOA is making moves towards putting natural trails in, and the fact that they're like really nice, flowy trails that are friendly for everyone is pretty cool. And then it's also the coolest part was like finding those trails that somebody's already kind of pirated in there.
Yeah.
And
no kidding.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. And then for me, being a trail builder and trying to it's not often you come across trail where you're like, wow, like this person did a really fantastic job.
Right.
A lot of times it's like you come across something, you're like, oh, they should have done this or whatever. But whoever was building those trails, man, they were doing proper work. So that's really cool. Whoever that pirate or that bandit is, man, I gotta find that guy. I want to post a couple pictures and just a couple pictures, like a couple little hints online, and just be like, just looking for who this might be.
Right.
I won't blow up your location, but wanted to give you a shout out or. No,
I know. I wanted to leave like a number there.
You should leave like a note, like
a card or something.
Yeah, like in a Ziploc bag or something. Like nail it to a tree. Hey, curious who's building these trails.
I'm gonna do that today. I'm gonna go out there today. I'm gonna nail it to the tree like that.
I think that's a good way too, because one of the things I think that needs to be implemented or understood more, and by implemented I think that the city, Steve Birch is kind of already working with the city and Storm to create kind of what's going to be like a trail boss situation. And it's something I've been suggesting for years, but basically what it is like putting the power kind of back in the community's hands and promoting local people, for whoever, for example, this spot over here in your neighborhood, whoever this dude is, he's the trail boss.
Right.
It's official already as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
He started something from scratch. It's his, I'm not trying to go over there and do anything to it.
I haven't touched it.
I mean, respect to it. If one of the things I say is if you ever want to do anything to a trail, it's always nice to rake it or whatever, but don't, I wouldn't go shape his trail or whatever, but at the same time, I want to know who he is. I just want to give him a McLeod, and that's one of the things that I like to do is give people tools. And so I've put tools at the Graveyard, which is a BMX spot, and I've put tools in 7HA, and I've put tools in some of the pig pen, and put some tools in different hands, the trail gnomes, just trying, when I see people doing good work, you go work with, try and find them, go work with them. And everybody needs something, for their kit, or so try and throw them McLeod. No one has McLeods, they're hard to find.
Right.
A lot of times new builders don't have those. But anyway, that guy deserves a high five, whoever he is.
Yeah, definitely. And once I find out who he is, I kind of joke around and say it's Sasquatch, because I go out there a lot and I never see anybody. So I don't know if he's building at night or what have you, but
dude, that bench cut was so proper.
Yeah,
that has to be.
It looks legit. I don't have the experience in trail building, but I can definitely I've ridden trails that are manicured and I've ridden trails that aren't.
Right.
And you can definitely tell the difference. So like, what are some of the things you kind of like, you know, that, like drew out about it?
Just how square the trail was built, how much effort the guy put into benching. He did a good job of like finding materials, and then like down that cliff, the way he kind of like stacked some of those rocks, like just looked natural and neat.
To shore it up.
Yeah, it was like neat looking, and like he was removing. You could tell, like for instance, like at the end of the trail where he hadn't quite groomed it out yet, but those berms, like the way that he laid them out, you know, he had done a good job of just like the shape of them, like. And the flow of it worked proper. He also didn't like waste a bunch of elevation. You don't have to grab your brakes on that trail right now, which is always like a thing in Texas that for me as a trail builder is really important. Like we don't have a lot of elevation here, and it's easy to point a trail down a hill and go fast.
Right.
But to me, if you could build a perfect trail, if there's such a thing, you would never have to touch your brakes on it. And I still haven't ridden a trail in Texas where I don't have to touch my brakes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Got you.
There's a couple maybe that you could say that you don't have to, but...
Or even like pedal.
Yeah, or pedal, exactly. Yeah. Like that's the key. And I mean, like, so if you want to get like really technical into trail building, like there's the grade of the fall, the rate or the grade that you're falling at, like a flow trail is like 6%. And then like they say an enduro line is supposed to be somewhere between 8 and 12%. And then some of the downhill trails run at somewhere around 18 or 20%, and they can have sections that are obviously like 45 degrees or, 40, but it's kind of like the overall run of the trail. And in the end, like even at 4 or 5%, if you have like a good drop into it, you can drop in to a jump line and it could flow at 4%, and you're hitting it and catching that flow, and you're adding a little pump to it here and there or whatever, a couple pedal strokes. But like at 6%, in Texas dirt, you can run pretty fast. Like it's a 18 to 20 mile an hour trail at 6%. You're just adding some strokes to it. Still a really fast trail, so that could be a jump trail or whatever. But in reality, most of our trails fall at like, again, that more enduro fall, and that's good. I mean, I like to go fast, and it's, we also got to take advantage of the features and the gnarly bits that we have, so, you still want steep and gnarly,
right?
At least in some runs. But yeah, Jimmy's, I think like, for instance, Jimmy's next move is to do more of a jump line, and definitely want to see that more in San Antonio. I think
Jimmy at Flat Rock Ranch, right?
Yeah, Jimmy the legend.
Yeah. I like that guy. He's a good dude.
For sure. Yeah, he does a lot he's done a lot for the mountain biking for sure in this whole zone. And he's a great trail builder. Learned a lot from Jimmy on building. I've built a lot of stuff with Jimmy, and going back to shooting grades, he's the best at it,
Oh wow.
that I've worked with, but especially like on some of the new stuff like Death by Single Speed and that new climb out of Black Sheep, man, those climbs are like, they're really good trails.
You talking about climbing up to Black Sheep?
That one that's like at the end of Black Sheep that loops you back up, it's called Baba Black Sheep, I think, on Strava.
Oh, okay.
Because it was like we built it during COVID, so maybe it's like Baba COVID, or Baba COVID, I think is what it's called. Like bye COVID.
Yeah.
Because we all wanted it to leave or whatever.
Yeah,
but yeah,
we still wanted to.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, but that trail's proper. I helped him shoot that one in, and he cut a lot of it himself. But yeah, that trail's like it's just such an easy little climb out.
So like, what got you into like trail building? Like, where did all that start?
Oh man.
Like, how long you been riding? I guess.
So yeah, it's a good question too. Yeah, that's so like, I started riding like maybe 12 years ago, and there were no trails. Well, there were lots of really great XC trails.
Got you.
San Antonio has some really good stuff. The Storm Boys, especially the OG guys that were rogue back in the day, cutting in the LCG, and over off of Mainland, which is mostly neighborhoods now. But those guys built some great trails, and I grew up right there on the LCG in Leon Valley. And so I mean, I rode the OP as a as a kid, like on a BMX bike.
Mm-hmm.
I rode the amphitheater on a BMX bike, dropping
wow.
in from like halfway up the hill, and
Yeah.
you know, like,
Nice.
and so like that was really cool to have that park system and those trails, but there wasn't a lot, you know, and so like around 2013 or 14, you know, like I was so ready to have some real trails that, you know, and I'd finally kind of started running into the right crews or the right people, because for a long time, I couldn't even really find anyone to like ride with, you know,
Right.
and by that I just meant like everybody was an XC rider, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, I was started getting a group of people finally coming together. Darren Timos, Sean McCade, it's not the Dirt Bandits. What is but Edward's a really good dude
yeah.
too. You know,
He is a
Big
good
Eddie.
dude.
I'm trying to think of the other page.
I've had him on.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's cool. I'm trying to think of the Bandit page that they want the Texas Dirt Bandits. Is that what it was? But anyway, so their dude Joe, and then before us was this guy Dr. 8.
Mm-hmm.
Dang it, what's his first name now? But yeah, he was in there. He's the one that, man, Parkwood used to have this massive gap, and I say massive, it was probably only like a 12 or 15 foot gap, but it was like a dirty gap going
Still
down
pretty
the
massive,
hill.
especially when you first start riding and stuff.
No, it's not even there anymore. It was basically, it's hard to imagine, but where Chicken Nugget, or no, Absolute Zero crosses main line.
Oh, okay.
Where the jump is on main line, that
Okay.
was the landing, and way up where they have that little kicker, kind of that little weird little corner bleep, kind of when you're coming down really, really hot, that you bounce out of, and then
Yeah.
it kind of straightens you out for that dip, and then you go
Got
up and
you.
go over that dip. You jumped over that.
Oh, wow.
It was massive. I mean, for the time, it was
Right.
really big. I crashed on it the first time I hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, at that time, nobody was hitting that. That Dr. 8 dude was hitting it, and then like a handful of other people. That dude Sean was hitting it. And I mean, I was hitting it after I crashed on it, but
Yeah.
you know, like it was a big feature for all of us, you know. But it was built wrong, and it all like got broke down. More than anything, I shouldn't say it was built wrong. It wasn't built the best. It was built good, but it got torn down by like punks or the HOA or who knows what. But yeah, so sorry, I got a little carried away in that.
No, you're good.
So we didn't have
Gotta go where it
anything.
goes.
Yeah, we didn't really have anything, and yeah, we started building Parkwood, and Parkwood, like I said, was kind of there, but it was more about building. Like mainline was such an important one, because the biggest thing that for me that was a goal was to build a trail that was for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we had some gaps in it originally, like the 2 tabletops that are on mainline originally were like gap jumps, and so like one of my big pushes to like for everybody is like, dude, we got to make these like tables so that like anyone can go ride these things, you know. And so like once we made those tables and the big berm got fixed, and we had a couple different runouts going, you know, towards that rock drop. Darren had a really cool piece that got broke out by somebody that dropped into it too, a little side kicker. But anyway, yeah, once that started running, you know, it was like we actually had trails in San Antonio, and at the time there were like, you know, and therefore went from like kind of half of a line or one line down Parkwood to having like 4 or 5 runs running proper down Parkwood, and you know that we're getting sessioned on a regular basis. And
Yeah.
man, I feel like that place has done so much for mountain biking in San Antonio. I mean,
Like it's like a progression wise.
yeah, I mean, for so many riders, like, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know about you, but I see when you first started riding, those tabletops in that berm were probably pretty intimidating. Or
They
like,
were,
Yeah.
especially like I was braking really hard right before the tabletops because I didn't want to get bucked because I didn't know how to
Exactly.
boost or anything.
Exactly,
People-
yeah.
I knew I heard all the terms and understood the concepts, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
right,
So,
and just carrying enough speed into them to
Yeah.
clear them in the first place isn't easy.
Yeah.
Somebody cut that route out actually just recently, which is a party foul, whoever that was, or
Yeah.
a trail building foul in my opinion. But that run-in's hard, right?
Mhm.
And so like, how were you feeling? Like those were like you're saying, features that were hard, and now how easy is it, right?
Yeah, I know. It definitely, yeah, but I feel that, I mean, this is my, only 3 years of riding opinion, but Texas is definitely since it's so loose and so like limestoney, like it does prepare you for riding other places.
For
because
sure.
It's so like
Our soil sucks.
yeah, our soil sucks, but at the same time, it teaches you really quickly like how to put your foot down if you need to, or just keep balance on the bike, or learning like where like how far your bike can lean over, and like it gets you really loose and sketchy. It gets you really comfortable in sketchy conditions.
For sure.
And so when you go to a place like Bentonville, it's manicured, or Angel Fire or something, it's just, I mean, granted, it's got its own beast that you have to.
Yeah, and there's certain spots where there's traction trouble everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, it kind of prepares you, like Texas prepares you for it. At least that's
definitely puts you like where you're riding in challenging conditions.
Exactly.
A lot.
Yeah, exactly.
And every once in a while we get enough rain where the dirt gets, it gets proper. But
yeah, and it's very rare when you do like when you do ride it. Yeah, it's nice. So like, that's crazy to hear like all that history, and especially like, would you say Dr. 8 or?
Yeah, Dr. 8.
Dr. 8.
Edward, man, Darren T-Most. He's up BC now, dude. That dude's ripping. He's
really?
Building trail up in BC. That guy's really good. If anybody goes up there and you give him the
what's his name?
Darren T-Most.
Okay.
Darren. Yeah, he's a veteran too. I don't know. But if the Dirt for Therapy went there, he'd definitely give you the give you the tour,
sweet, Yeah, that's one of my bucket list places is Whistler.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, but I would, if I even had to make it to Whistler, I would like to do the trails like in and around, BC or whatever.
Yeah, he's like near, somewhere in the, I think I'm saying that right. But yeah.
Yeah.
That whole zone has some crazy trails.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Have you ever been up there?
But just like you see in the videos, and
yeah.
There's
just this huge rock
it's a mecca. Yeah.
And I know you've been at Angel Fire too. So how did you get like in this? I'm curious, like how did the Team Enduro Lab and stuff? How did that kick off?
Yeah. So I met some of those kids, and the team situation, like we've had some different teams in San Antonio. Enduro San Antonio has been a thing for a long time, and we were trying to kind of expand on our crew, and I'm always trying to help anybody and everybody ride, and
right.
These kids like kind of approached me. Moms were asking for help at one of the races, and I was like, and took them out to practice some runs before Zombie Goat. This was, I guess, 2 years ago.
Oh, that recent. I don't know why I thought it was longer. But
I mean, really, it's only been like a year and a half. So I guess like not this Zombie Goat, but the one before that. Mm-hmm. So I guess like working on Zombie Goat calendar in my mind, but not last year's Zombie Goat, but the year before that. That Zombie Goat was the first time I met all the kids, or most of them. I knew some of them because I'd gone to some NICA practices and helped out, and done some 210 practices or whatever. But
that's the Zombie Goat that split my elbow.
The place is gnarly. I love it.
Friday, Thursday, like the Thursday before the race, on all the way down. I hit that drop so many times, and then just this one time, the wind was picking up, and I just sent it off. That big drop where it's just a G out, and then you go up to the next one.
For sure.
As soon as it went in the air, like the wind just blew me over, and I just did like the people's elbow right in the ground, and just fucking split open. My pad slid down, but. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So
that's how you met all the kids?
Yeah, so met some of the kids and some of the parents, and I was like, let's take this further, and then it just kind of started. We did a couple practices, and it just started snowballing, and we in the first year we have like 40 kids signed up on our roster.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And that's like we probably have on average 10 to 15 kids at a practice, and these kids, I think as a coach, just my goal was just to put them like on the right trails, definitely show them some techniques, and talk to them about stuff, but just like getting them in the right places to session, and getting them to session together, and just session some different styles and kind of techniques, But man, these kids, I think more than anything, it's just like their progression is just riding the right trails together.
Right.
You know, they all learn from each other. I can't teach them all at these practices. You know, they take turns getting a tow from me, or I follow in somewhere to watch them and throw them some tips or whatever. But dude, these kids are, progression is nuts.
I know, man. I've seen some of them at the races. I'm like, damn, man. Like on one level, I'm like, damn, that's badass. But on another level, I'm like, I wish I had that when I was younger. You know
Right?
what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'd rather probably in hindsight rather play, do that or ride than play football. But
Exactly, yeah, same. Yeah, there wasn't even that thing when we were
Yeah.
kids, and it's getting bigger and bigger. But man, that's something we should really push for. I think.
You want to slide forward a little bit?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, yeah. The sun can get out of your eye. Push forward, and you were talking about. I was talking about football.
That we should help try and push forward in the community is getting that getting the mountain biking in the schools more. You know, like NICA's there, but like in Arizona, each team, you know, each high school has its own mountain bike team, you know, and its own mountain bike coach. And a lot of places like Utah and Arizona, and like those coaches are getting paid just like a football coach would. Like they like work at the school, and they like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's through NICA, you know, whatever. But like,
and what is NICA?
NICA's a National Interscholastic. Oh, geez, what? Don't put me on that.
Oh, it's fine. I'll look it up. I was just curious. But it's like an organization that promotes mountain biking within schools.
Cycling Association.
National, international.
Wait, National Interscholastic
Cycling
Association. I could be wrong about the I though.
No, that's fine. I'll put a link down in the bottom. We'll all get educated at the same time.
It's all good. NICA's like the national group that runs mountain biking. For the high school level kids.
Yeah.
And so like in other states, Colorado, Arizona, Utah, a lot of places in Arkansas now, they just have like these massive high school programs, you know, instead of 40 kids from the lab, which is kind of like a magnet program for shredders coming from all over. They have one of those like each school, you know.
Oh wow.
You know, and each kid, like, instead of driving all over San Antonio, they just like hop on their local trail system with their coach and go get their miles in.
Nice.
Yep, it's pretty cool. And they actually want it to be split by schools. In San Antonio, we're actually trying to do it a little different. We're actually I'm working with the 210 team, the Bernie team, the Alamo Heights team, that are all NICA teams. And we're trying to actually consolidate them a little bit. And the reason we're doing that is just like what I was talking about, getting kids to ride together, because there's some really good kids out in Bernie, and there's really good kids in Alamo Heights, and there's really good kids, you know, on the 210, and
so that way they kind of elevate each other.
They don't even hardly know each other, you know, because they're all like their own little crews, you know.
Right.
And so we're going to do some clinics that bring all those teams together. And then I think what those coaches are talking about doing is kind of more a varsity, junior varsity type thing. And so like they'll all have their own practices, but every once in a while they'll have like a varsity practice here, or they'll have a JV practice here. And that'll kind of like help like those younger riders come together. Like for instance, the JV kids, the more beginner ones that are on that team, they all come out to one practice and hit MAC together, you know, and they can all kind of progress together. And then same thing with those varsity kids, you know, you take them all to Flat Rock one day and like, you know, really push their progression on some trails or whatever, you know. And but just getting more collaboration with the team, so all the kids can be successful. And I mean, that being said, what comes to my mind is my little side goal right now is just to get more kids on mountain bikes in general. You know, I think that's always exciting for all of us.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
you're like, oh, dude, have you ridden a bike, right? Like, have you tried it? But like, you were all trying to get our buddies involved and our spouses involved or whatever, girlfriends, who knows.
Yeah.
And like, you know, but kids are such a cool way to get involved. And like, I'm gonna start that old Yeti bike I have. I'm gonna start letting some kids borrow that.
Nice.
I'm a little worried about the carbon situation.
Yeah.
But
well, I think as much as you've ridden it post carbon situation, like in your weight and the way you ride, I don't think it's gonna be an issue.
If it handles me, it can handle somebody else. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
I can't break it, but I actually can break it like 3 times.
There you go. There you go.
I did break it.
So carbon situations.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's actually one in the rear triangle right now I have to patch up too, because yeah, the rear triangle's starting to actually crack now.
Yeah.
It'll be my fourth
After that, like
stress
when you
crack on that
retire,
bike.
you should just put it up on the wall or something.
That's what everybody says, dude. I can't though. Like it still goes.
Yeah. No, I'm saying after you, like when you're like, all right, it's time. Then you can
someday,
one day.
Someday, I'm gonna
Fast
keep
forward
riding
20
it
years.
forever. I want to put a motor on it right now.
There you go.
If I had a little cash to throw around right now, I'd probably put an e-motor on it.
Yeah, that would be funny. I mean, it'd be cool too, because you can kind of just keep it going, in a different form.
Yeah. Just mess around, cruise on it.
Yeah. So, are there any high schools right now that have mountain biking?
I think Alamo Heights is the most put together school program, because Alamo Heights is like its own school district and school and whatever. They have their own NICA team or whatever.
Got you.
And I think there's some kids from a couple other schools that like feed into that, private schools and whatnot. But yeah, that's like the one that would be like the most school central.
Got you. Oh, that's cool. So that way it could bleed over to other schools, especially like, once it starts taking off and stuff. I know that it's crossed my mind to kind of go back to my old high school and just kind of start, or because I got a friend that's a coach there in my old high school, and trying to like find a way in to start like exposing like some of the kids to like mountain biking and stuff like that, and just like further down the line, I still got a situation, but that's something I've been kind of thinking about, just trying to get exposure. Like I started getting my family riding. I've taken my sister and her husband out just to kind of get familiar with the mountain bike. I took them to, it wasn't a mountain bike trail. I'm trying to go slowly because I think I went too fast, too hard with my kids because I was so excited at the time. So I wasn't as patient with them I feel I was patient, but maybe not to the level of patience that they wanted. You know what I mean? So I've learned a lot from that, and then just kind of when other people ask, I kind of take them out and just kind of get them. I took them to the mission trails.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's just paved, so they just get
Fun,
used
dude.
to the
Yeah,
gears.
for sure.
The dropper seat and all that stuff, the bike, and just kind of get an understanding of
The mission trail is great, man. San Antonio is doing a lot for creating those spaces.
No, yeah, and I just see it as a positive going forward. Like, so I'm glad we kind of talked about that, because this new effort that you're doing, along with a few others, Trail Boss Association.
So Trail Boss Coalition.
I'm sorry.
It's all good, dude.
See, that's why we have here. We gotta have the expert on.
No, it's all good. I mean, we talked about different names, and it was association at one point. It was one of the names we tossed around heavy, but I kind of like coalition. When you look at the definition of coalition, it sounds like the thing. The coalition means that you're bringing a bunch of things together, and so I think that's kind of like what our goal is, really. We're trying to create more mountain bike trails and progress the sport further, specifically trails that progress the sport. Jump trails, faster lines. I don't know, but everybody wants the jumps right now. Everybody wants like some proper jumps. And that's, I think, one of the biggest things that we're lacking. 10 years ago, I would have told you, I could have made you a whole list of things that we just didn't have in Texas or San Antonio. And now we have so many good places to ride. I mean, this is before Flat Creek, or before, Spider Mountain, or before so many of these trail systems, before Parkwood, before so many of these little park systems were put together, but we have so much. But we still need, and we all want more, right? And so it's like how to make that happen. And so just making more of a conscious effort to like put some energy there, and I think really the goal is to just find ways and solutions to do that. And so being creative, I think we have a couple different ways that we're gonna try and do that, whether that's work with privately owned land and lease that, or get access to private land by asking nicely and whatever, or and with proper accreditation, or I don't know, reputation, promise to
Right.
take care of the place and make it a fun place for everyone. But you know, like for instance, like somewhere like Parkwood, if we had access to that space, you know, if we just got access to Parkwood, number one, the money would flow. A bunch of people would be ready to give money and give effort to fixing that. If we had like proper permission,
Right.
and we could do what we wanted to do in there. And number two, so we'd get all the money. If we could do it right and go in there and kind of like get everything right and spend the time, take some equipment out there, you know, and fix the berms and do a lot of that like work, that heavy work with some machines, and I think the other thing that place really needs is just good dirt. And so we just need to take some better dirt out there. It's a little tricky. Everyone wants to take like this really great like loamy red whatever, that red cheddar.
Yeah.
It's better, but it's not it's not native.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not native. So we'd probably bring in some sort of like a loamy like compost style material,
Right.
which to me it's almost like a very light mulch mixed with dirt, and it does a really good job of staying together, creates great traction, and it lasts a long time. And it's also like good for the environment. You know, it's just mulch, so it's like healthy soil that we're adding, where like that red dirt doesn't necessarily have that. What LCG does have is the Georgia bank, which is that red dirt that's in that zone, like where like for instance like the BMX jumps over by Pruar.
Right.
It's like that kind of that little bit of a yellowish reddish type of soil or whatever. Yeah, it's called the Georgia bank, and it's just like one of the sedimentary layers that's native or like in this region or whatever, and it just so happens to slice through the LCG. You can see it in Parkwood. You know, it's like at 10 feet of elevation in Parkwood, and you can kind of follow it down. It goes, you know, down through as the creek's dropping down, it's getting lower too.
Yeah.
And it goes through that zone, you know, like by the Prue jumps, but then by the time you get to OP proper and the cliff starts, you don't see that soil anymore. If you push up further, you see it a little bit more up towards Fox and some other places. But yeah, that soil is like our best native soil.
Got you.
But there's only like one little chunk of it mixed in with like, you know, so many layers of limestone and dirt and stuff. So
how would, like, I know that's one of the things that I have talked about with other people that I've had on, is just like the drainage issue, like when it rains and stuff. Like how would, just out of curiosity, how would that, I guess if you get the proper equipment in there, you'd be able to put proper drainage in there, because you'd be able to get in deep.
yeah, I think
some of the lines.
you know, if we could take equipment in there, the first thing I would do is like a really big cleanup day where we just stacked rocks. And I'd want to talk about what berms and what jumps we wanted to build up. I would want to make the main jumps a little bit bigger, the run up to them, where that whoever cut out that route, like a little bit cleaner so beginners can get into it harder. Kind of between the big berm and the first jump, kind of that zone, clean it up, square it out a little bit more. But either way, what it would be about is cleaning the zone up. And that all those trails forever have been just like raked on.
Right.
You know, if somebody comes out there and they want to KOM, or just from tires in general, you know, but we just rake the trail out. I'm guilty of it too.
Right.
You know, we just moving the rocks out of the way. But if you go out there and look at it, it's like now there's a ditch and piles of rocks on the trails. You know, it's like a ditch and rock piles, like all the way down so many of the trails. And so what we need to do is we just need to go in there with a skid steer, and everyone needs to throw rocks at it. And we just like everybody's on a wheelbarrow or a bucket, everybody.
Right.
And we just take all those rocks. We're going to take as many rocks as we can in one day, and we're going to stack them on main line.
Right. So it's like a rock party,
Yeah, exactly. And then the next day we come back and we cover all those rocks in with like some proper dirt. But with those rocks, we backside berms, we build up our berms. You know, a lot of times trail builders will kick out the rocks, but we don't have that option in Texas. Like, to me, when a lot of the trail building rules change when you're in Texas, because we have so little usable dirt that you have to like use every scoop of everything in your backfill. So anyway, yeah, once we got it all cleaned out, it would take those ruts, and that would drop the sides of them down whatever small fill we have or natural dirt we could find at that same time. We would kind of kick that in. But then the idea is you want to go back in after you do all that, and then you top everything with that good soil I'm talking about, and then you dome it back out. Same way that you build a road, you know. And so if it's on the hill, I mean, that's like if it's on a flat zone, you dome it, right? But if it's on a hill, you want a 1 to 2% side grade on it, so that it sheds that water. And then other places, it's going to be steep. You know, it runs at 6 or 8%, the track itself. And then you just got to have different places to either kick the water out or catch the water. And one of the things I've been really trying to do lately is make conscious catches of water. And those I make like off trail. So for instance, I have this long trail coming down here, but before this berm hits, I'm going to kick the water off right before that berm, or kick the water off at the end of berm. Either way. And where I make that kickoff, I make like a little pocket of rocks, and that way when it does wash off all your good material, you're making like a little catch pond for it. And next year when you go back to like rebuild your trail and you're like, God, all this dirt's gone. Well, at least you know where it is. It's at the bottom of your berm where it washed off, and you made that little catch pocket for it. And you just go over there and you got like money dirt, dude. It's like hero dirt.
Yeah, because it's all been sifted and everything.
Exactly, naturally sifted into your little hole over there, and you just got like it's all the finest dirts and sands and all that. And you go you like lay that, you rebuild your berm, and then you go dig out that money pit or whatever, you know. So I've been trying to add those to trails more, be a little more conscious about how to catch some of that stuff that gets washed off. But either way, you got to control where it washes off, you know, or think about that. It's not always possible. It's not always ideal or easy, you know.
No, yeah, definitely. So I guess like I don't want to get away from that's good conversation.
Right. We got way carried away in that. But Trail Boss Coalition,
I just want to make sure the coalition. So how did that get started?
Yeah, man. So it goes back to just wanting more trails. I think that like Storm's doing a good job, and like they're doing a good job of working with the city and whatever, but they're having trouble with money. And I think that you know that needs to happen. You know, I think that another group makes that easier, you know, with more of a focus. And so you know, if we can start creating the money, it makes everything else easier. It goes back to that project that we're talking about in Parkwood, whether we gain access to it or whatever, you know, getting the money to like back the work there, you know. And so
if you had your crystal ball, like what would it be like in 5 years?
Yeah, and so right now we're talking about racing to be part of the funding for that, and it's like actually the thing that's like really fun for me in San Antonio, but I wish I could remove it. And so if we're talking about the crystal ball, I wish there's just money here, and we had some zones where we could do, you know, Parkwood, maybe a couple other zones maybe connected to Mac or throughout the city, dispersed throughout the city, where we had proper access to take equipment, materials, and do work in those zones. I mean, that would be like ideal for me. And even if it was just 1 or 2 zones where we could go in once or twice a year and have like work days where everyone comes out and it's a little party. Because it's just like in Parkwood, we need 3 little parties, dude. We need a rock and roll day. We need that's what it is, a rock day and then a roll day, because we pull the rocks out and then we roll it all flat. I don't know, it's a pretty dumb joke, but
no,
you know,
it sounds like catchy. You could probably do that and set it up.
Yeah, exactly, like a rock roll in shape, you know, like
rock roll in shape or
but anyway, but the point is, you know, you just need some parties and ability to kind of host a couple parties that are dig days. But you know, I think trail building, also the coalition is about helping get that trail boss situation figured out and just get the word out about like what that means to the community. It's one of the first posts that I made as the MTB professor when I started that Instagram page, is, you know, about what trail bossing is, you know, and just respecting the trail and who built it before you.
I'm glad you posted that, because me being a new rider, like a lot of that stuff made sense to me, but at the same time I never had somebody to, you know, structure it that way, you know.
And it's kind of like, it's wrote pretty goofy. I kind of found something on the internet that was close, and I kind of changed it up, but I actually want to redo it. I actually started working on it the other day. Actually, in fact, it's on my phone right here. I've like reworded a lot of it, made it a little more
Polished.
professional.
Yeah,
Professional. It's like it's pretty goofy.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, MTB
but
professor, so you gotta be
I
yeah, professor.
yeah,
Prophesize.
I gotta make it professional. Yeah, but yeah, but yeah. I mean, it's just kind of like a rules of respect for
yeah.
trail building, and you know, everyone. Like for instance, our boy out here at Your Home Trails, you know, like that's his. He's the trail boss now.
Right.
Like whoever he is, I want to name him trail boss, and it's important because then when you're out riding it and you find some kids out there, you're like, yo. Hey, these are David's trails.
Right.
You know, David built these. He's the man on them. He would love your help, but don't adjust David's lips. Don't try and like add some feature to David's line or something. You know,
Yeah.
like this is his sculpture. You know, and I also think it's like really important because we need to name proper trail bosses. Going back to that thing about, like I said, about finding so many trails that are just like junk. You know. I've come across kids like stacking dirt. Dude, I was a kid stacking dirt in the LCG. I made dirt bike jumps. I rode my dirt bike all over the LCG when I was a kid. Nice. Me and my buddies had like these piece of junk 80s. One of my buddies had a piece of junk 100, and I had a piece of junk 80. And we ran those things all around the LCG when we were kids. But we made jumps for those things. And the same thing, I still look at my first berm that I ever built was in Parkwood. You know how many times it's been ridden this year? Not many. You know why? Because I built it wrong. It's in the wrong spot. Dude, I was positive it was right. I was so sure, you know? But it's a good reminder to me that it's there. It looks nice, but it's not in the right spot. It's just not. It looks like you want to use it. You're like, oh, that would be cool. But then when you're riding, it's just not. And like that's the difference in being like a, you know, learned trail builder and a beginner, you know. And so many times you come across trails that are just wrong. I guess I got a little carried away in that talk. What we were talking about is trails being built wrong. And when they're built wrong, you know, they just, a lot of times more than anything, it's just like somebody tore up the environment, took out all the grass and, you know, natural habitat, and scratched something into the hill that's now going to erode, and no one's ever going to ride it. There's like, how many lines in Parkwood are just like a completely abandoned, you know what I mean? And they're abandoned because they were built wrong. Somebody thought, oh, dude, we're gonna make these tight turns, and then like they build this whole thing, and then they ride it, and they're like, oh, or a lot of times of what they'll do, and I'm, you know, oh, dude, it's so great because it's their trail, and they made it, and that's fine too, you know. I think trail building is important to do. It's a good activity. It's like fun to be creative and stuff. We have to be like conscious of like how we do it, so that there's not like a lot of abandoned lines everywhere, or lines that don't work or that aren't fun, because you know, if you build it wrong and it's not fun, nobody's gonna ride it. And if it's not, I mean, that's the main line, right? It's the best use of elevation. It's your longest run in Parkwood, and that's why it's the most popular. You know, it was built with some flow. Anyway.
No, I think one of the things I've noticed is that, so I think it's positive in a lot of ways that people are trail building, but at the same time, I think it's also like equally important, and hopefully this comes with time, that people are aware of like what they're doing, like consciously to the environment, and not in the sense of like, but just be aware, like, hey, just don't take out that tree because, you know, you want to go straight through it. You know, try to work with the land and go around like trees. And be conscious of what tree you're taking out and what tree you're not, you know, and like if it's a dead tree, then, you know.
Like, and there's certain stuff you can cut and there's certain stuff you don't.
So, and it's also, it's having that education and awareness like before doing so, because I mean, not for nothing, but until I started like riding or even walking the trails, I didn't really become aware of what trees were what. I remember one time there was a guy that came up to me, and he was just like upset, you know. He was like, hey, did you take out this mulberry tree? And I was like, I don't know what a mulberry tree is. You know, I wasn't trying to be a dick, but I was just like, I don't know what that is. And no, I didn't. You know, he's like, yeah, so somebody came to build a trail and they took out a mulberry tree as to pick from. And then that's why I kind of started becoming aware of it. Like, oh shit, like there's actually trees out here that people
how
can
many
forage
how
from.
many birds picked off of that tree?
No,
or
yeah,
whatever, right?
yeah. No, I know what
mean,
you're saying.
I don't want to get too environmental. We're killing the environment everywhere to like be humans and build houses.
Yeah,
and
yeah, but at the
whatever,
same
but
time, if we could do it
save
and
a
have the
tree.
same conscious
Yeah.
of doing it and working like with the natural flow of the land and stuff like that,
For
and just
sure.
kind of keeping those things in mind.
Yeah.
I think that's equally important. But yeah, I think trailboating is beneficial because you're working with dirt and it's kind of taking us back to who we are as as humans, I guess. Not I guess, but in that sense. So, and just like mountain biking, like it made me aware of all these being out in the trails. Like I'm from San Antonio and I didn't even know those trails. What 18 years before I left the military, but I didn't even know these trails existed. Just because I wasn't ever exposed to them. I used to hear some of the names, but I just never ventured over to this part of town. Nor did I have a bike to do it with anyways. But at the same time, it's like now that I'm aware of them and I appreciate it more, and I think that comes with it. The more people you get kids out riding, there's all these like positive benefits from it. And I guess where I'm going with it is, I know the last time we talked, you had talked about a study that was showing like the
the economic benefits.
Yeah. So you can
Yeah.
tell us a
So
little about that.
yeah, they did like a study. This was a couple years ago, and Pink Bike posted it. It was an article. Anyway, the article was related to like the economic advantages of different sports and how it's like affecting. And so, like in Colorado, for instance, in their mountain resort towns, snow skiing is still their biggest income. But then in the summertime, it used to be like golf and tennis and hiking and like all these other things. And mountain biking was like kind of in the mix. Well, now mountain biking's like the king of the summers, and so they're seeing that like all over Colorado and Utah and California, where there's good trail systems. Arkansas, where there's trail systems. I mean, Arkansas is literally a city, has cities built around mountain biking.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like we used to build cities around golf courses, and that was like what people did. But I mean, and golf's not unpopular, but it's just not as popular, and it takes, give me a golf course to build on. I'll take a golf course.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know
there's so
some
many
that are there abandoned.
Yeah, there's a couple of them in San Antonio that are abandoned, and like there's a couple like the Cedar Creek one out there off of Kyle Seal, man, that place is amazing, and the city owns a bunch of property over there too. Madera is like a city-owned or state-owned property. The La Matala Ranch over there.
Okay.
Yeah, the Matala's beautiful property over Costa. But anyway, the economic benefit of mountain biking to answer the question is huge to communities, and they're finding that once there's the proper trail systems, it's generating more money than sports like golf and tennis, and especially considering that it can happen on natural terrain that's actually a floodplain in Texas. Most of that's happening there. If we just do a better job of using those spaces to create more trails. I mean, for instance, that new Eisenhower Park that's opening up, man, that's right there at the rim. If you had some proper trails in there, a bike shop over there in the rim, which you have Sun and Ski right there. I mean, like, you already got everything right there. You just need, like, can we just add the shuttle or the chairlift?
No kidding.
we don't need a chairlift.
Yeah,
but
I know.
Like proper trails, like
Right.
if we had a proper trail system in there, with good flow and kids trails and jumps, and like, dude, we're right there at Fiesta Texas and SeaWorld, like it would pop off like crazy.
Yeah, no,
People would stay in those hotels just so they could ride those trails.
Yeah, and that's something I've talked about on here because the main industry here in San Antonio is tourism, and if you could add another flavor to San Antonio, like as mountain biking, it would just, I mean, we saw a lot of businesses get affected with, Rona or COVID, and it would just kind of boost I feel like the profit or the bottom line for San Antonio in mountain biking if they were just to invest. It's kind of like the old saying, if you build it, they will come.
Right, yeah.
And the demand's already here. It's just trying to get everybody within the community on the same page and moving in the same direction to, assist programs like Trail Boss Coalition.
Yeah, I'm doing a bad job talking about that one too. You have to circle.
No, you're good, man. You're good.
I thought about my crystal ball answer some more.
Yeah, man.
While we've been talking, but keep going.
But that's what I like, a podcast, because you're able to talk about this nuanced things and circle back to it, and
we got to practice talking.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's just going to be evolving conversation, because this thing, I mean, I know it's just kind of, it's in its genesis, but at the same time, I've talked about before, it's like going through all the gatekeepers of which the city is, going through, and trying to put those warm fuzzies, trying to get the investors in. But I feel if we can get this, this information out to, investors or whoever there's like, hey, that sounds like a good idea, then it's in the right place.
Right. It's the crystal ball. I have it. Yeah. So the crystal ball would be that in 5 years, 2 years, soon, we would have not only we would have the city would see and understand what mountain biking could do for our community and why they should invest in it. That would be part of it. We would also have the community backing those trails and protecting those trails and respecting those trails, and that's through kind of the Trail Boss coalition, or not necessarily, that too, but by assigning local trail bosses.
Got you.
And we didn't really talk too much about that, but we'll come back to it. But like this zone or Fox Park is big Russell, and I'll still take Parkwood, or it can be maybe Henry. He lives there now. Something like that. We assign different zones, and then it's really, so that's part of it. We have like kind of assigned leaders of different zones and people that all the locals know and respect and work together to respect and, make the most of those properties. And we would have in that crystal ball, since they see it and they want to invest in it, we would also have the trails that backed that division coming together. We'd have some proper jump lines. We'd have some proper flow lines in the city that are machine built. I think those are all like realistic goals. So getting the city and investors to see what we see in that crystal ball as being like how rad mountain biking could be. That'd be part of the goal.
Right.
Getting the community to back some trail boss understanding that I think would be really good for our community, for trail builders, for our community, and for protecting trails and the environment. And to help for the city too. You wouldn't hear about all these rogue trails being built because they'd be like, dude, what are you doing? Talk to this guy. It's respect.
Right.
You're in this zone. You talk to this guy or this girl or whoever. And
I think that's going to be it's going to be some time, but the more we talk about it, the more we kind of, get everybody on the same page. And then one thought came to me that I don't want to lose, but I'm just going to say this real quick. Like, what if we were to have, I hate to make it sound like politics, but at the same time, we would have buy-in from the community if like we were to have, I don't want to say people run, but we were to nominate people for those areas, and then the community on whatever page that be would vote for them via so that way there's buy-in into the community.
For sure.
We know this guy, we know
you got to have the locals
to
invest in it for sure,
as opposed to kind of just
you can't just assign somebody. It's like already a respect thing, but like, for the most part, most of the zones are kind of figured out. Like, for instance, Big Russell,
right?
He's got the Parkwood or Fox Park and the dip area, like that's his. Like, if anybody's trying to dig over there, and I'm not to say that he's the only one that digs over there. Yeah, right. I think that he lets a lot of people that want to dig over there, but it doesn't happen unless like the Godfather blesses it of that zone, and I maybe Godfather's a stretch, but nonetheless, like the trail boss of that zone, is going to make sure that zone gets built properly, and by properly I mean in a sustainable-ish manner. It's going to get built in a manner that's safe-ish. Jimmy of Flat Rock hates the word safe because you can't build safe trails. You can crash on a regular flat trail. You can crash getting out of your truck. So it's all assumed risk.
Oh yeah, I think I've done both of those.
Right. Yeah. For sure. Same. Yeah. So but keeping the trails where they work for most people. These are city parks for the most part that we're talking about, and the trails that are built need to work for everyone.
Right.
That was the big goal in Parkwood, and it wouldn't be what it is if those were gap jumps. No one would be riding the main line. But like literally, we went in there and we by hand filled those gaps up, and there's a lot of dirt, by the way, to fill those gaps up in that zone by hand. And so without those being full, beginners wouldn't be ripping those lines.
No,
all the
yeah,
time,
I've seen because the BMX jumps right there at Peru is probably the perfect example.
Right.
And I remember me.
Those were gaps for a minute too. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody turned them into gaps, and
Britton Camden and his brother went and cleaned them up a bunch. That was the last movement to clean them. Nick Guerra has been really helpful in that zone.
Yeah, I remember seeing him out there, but I remember seeing some beginners just eat shit right there because they didn't know that the gap was there. And we helped them up and stuff because we were just riding by. As soon as they crashed, we saw them, so we pulled over, not pulled over, but we rode off to the side and made sure they were good to go. And she was pretty out of it. It was a female. She was pretty out of it. Her friends had to go get the car, but it was just like, if people aren't aware that those gaps are there or there's no signage or anything, especially something that's so accessible to everyone.
In a city park, you can't have gaps.
Yeah,
because you can't have blind drops. Right.
It just has to be smartly built. You have to consider everyone.
Yeah, and you can't create too much flow. You have to consider everyone. I don't want to get too far into it. There's so many technicalities of it, like how much speed you can carry into a drop, whether you can overshoot something, because there's a couple features in Parkwood that I'm thinking about right now in my mind that, they're just not safe. It looks freaking cool.
Right.
And it might be cool to some person, but if the wrong person overshoots it, they're gonna beef out, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, you got to make it where you can't carry too much speed into stuff. That's an important safety feature in building in parks and whatever. But trying to build them safely.
Right. Yeah. As safe as you can. But I know what you mean.
Yeah.
No, it's just considering everything, just beginners all the way to, and I think that's why places in Bentonville you don't run into too many gaps.
Yeah,
I don't think I've seen any.
You shouldn't have to. Well, sort of.
Yeah, and I feel that there shouldn't be any gaps unless it's maybe a black or I don't know.
Right.
What is it? The blue, black? Wait, I forget it because I get confused because the color system here in Texas is different from other places, in the sense you know what I'm talking about. There's green, and then there's blue, and then black. But here there's red and different color systems in here.
Oh, you mean at Mac or something? They have the red loop? Yeah.
It's just so.
No, I think they're just. I don't think they're trying to call that a blue because the blue loop's a green. If we're talking, we're being real. Yeah. It's all green.
Yeah, I feel it's all green.
It's all green.
Every time I go to Mac, I take my hardtail.
There's a tiny little droplets of blueness here and there. If you do Caliche Hill or the drop next to it or the jumps, you can maybe call those some blue features. But in parks, in city parks, you probably should never have blacks. It should be blues and greens, Maybe there's some steep trail, something compared to Pucker or something like that,
I like Pucker.
It's the steep trail, but not black features. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Because at least if it's a black trail, people can walk up and down it. Bikers can still use it and go down it. Hikers can still use it, but it would just be black gnar, but not black gap or black drop or.
So you brought up something you talked about yesterday, and I'm not trying to cut you off, but I know you wanted to talk about it. But you were talking about possibly, mentioning the idea of a shuttle at Flat Rock.
Yeah, so
is that something you want to talk about now? Or
coming 2022.
There you go.
Jimmy is down, so I'm rigging out my mule. I'm gonna put some bike racks on it, little ice chest holder. I'm gonna mount the bike racks kind of up on the bed so they're extra safe. But either way, we'll be offering shuttles next year at Flat Rock, and Through that, I'm also gonna do like a little bit more guiding type stuff. If people just want to go out there and ride. So I'm just gonna kind of basically what I'm gonna do. I got a couple other people kind of pulling into this, but basically what it is, it'll be kind of a mountain bike coaching guide.
Oh, sweet.
Shuttle service, and so we'll shuttle at Flat Rock, but we'll guide here in San Antonio or at Flat Rock or wherever, Central Texas guide.
It's kind of
I'll guide you at Spider or whatever, and then also coach at those places too. So if you and your family are from Arizona and you're here and you want to figure out Flat Rock, because it's kind of hard to know,
right?
Especially the Enduro lines, you call me instead. I come out there and or one of our people, we'll have a couple different people working for us. And the idea with the mule is I actually want to certify a group of people. And so by certify, we'll just have a really strong understanding of what the rules are. And we're not going to, people that Jimmy are going to trust. And we know we're going to follow the rules because we don't want to ruin that relationship with Jimmy. But essentially, if there's a couple people that I'm going to have to trust a couple people to drive this shuttle. I'm not going to be doing that just myself. It's going to be just a little side business. Honestly, I don't really think it's going to make a lot of money. I just want it to pay for itself so we can have shuttles. If it just pays for itself and everybody gets to shuttle more, we win. You know what I mean?
So would it just be limited to the Enduro lines, or would you take them all the way to Pucker or places across the place?
Yeah, really there's only a couple lines, any of the Enduro lines. I don't imagine the XC people are going to want to shuttle. If it's a shuttle, it's going to be a person that's going to ride downhill or whatever. But yeah, you can easily hit Pucker. You can easily hit Slalom, Cowabunga, Black Sheep. You can shuttle to all of those really easily. You can also shuttle to Black Sheep. Technically not all the way to the top, but pretty much to the top, and Jimmy and I have talked about a little plan there. You can also shuttle to the top of Speed and all the way down and MB2. There's a way to shuttle up there. So basically we could shuttle the whole ranch. And you couldn't do dip, and it is a little harder to get to Speed and MB2. We're going to do a little bit of work on one of the roads. It's an old Jeep road. We'll have to kind of.
I know what you're talking about exactly.
Yeah, it's they're kind of by.
It's kind of loose and steep.
Yeah, they call it the Indian Ridge or whatever. Gotcha. By that little pond, it's the drop on Speed or whatever.
What about Evil Worm? Would that be too far? Or Cowabunga?
Yeah, you could definitely do Cowabunga is a good one to shuttle, because Cowabunga has a road right up to the top.
That's a fun line.
It's actually the best one to shuttle. It's the easiest shuttle. Because it's just that one road rips right to the top. You're up there in 3 minutes. But who knows? And then Jimmy's going to do a jump line. That's actually going to be probably in that Cowabunga zone. The zone that we're talking about putting that right now is that kind of where you're at Cowabunga, where Slalom, between Cowabunga and Slalom, there's that big pipeline. It runs from the top of that hill. Just a big wide pipeline thing. And somewhere along that pipeline, we're just going to have a drop in. And then once you're in it. And it'll be a jump line. Because further down, especially right off of the top, it drops kind of heavy. And then there's that pond down there. And then the pipeline goes up over that next hill. But then that next hill all the way to camp is that 6% we're talking about. It's that nice gradual.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just good gradual.
We're talking about this, and I can't. I want to ride right now. But
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about it.
So if we stack jumps in there, and it's all wide open, there's good soil in there. There's a lot of that limestone that he has out there. So if that's where we stack jumps, it'd just be such an easy one to shuttle and just rip. That was my thing. Is Jimmy, we need to put a line that people can just lap, because that's what they want to do. They're just gonna ride it over and over and over. It's they're going to ride the same 10 jumps 15 times, you know?
Because, that's really how you get better at jumps.
Yeah, you have to.
You
have to keep hitting them so you learn them. Yeah, you're right. And so, stack jumps, man. That's what Jimmy's, I think Jimmy's there too, finally. So, he's always there, but I'm always pushing him further.
Right.
I'm glad he's so cool.
He is. He's a really good guy.
Yeah, dude.
I've ridden with him a few times, and he's very nice and very welcoming, and unfortunately, I feel that there's been other places that haven't, didn't succeed because of not that positive, vibe that you kind of got from, the owners or what have you. So
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you gotta have to have that community feel, and he does a good job.
Yeah, he does. And I know he's been running that place for a while now. And so I'm looking forward to that. So if there's any investors out there that are listening to this and want to, jump on board and with Kyle on this, and
give me your monies.
Yeah.
And by me, man, it's give your communities the monies. I mean, I think the Trail Boss Coalition is just about putting the money directly into features. As a trail builder, I think that one of my things for getting this started. Sorry to interrupt you there.
No, you're good, man.
But one of my deals was like, I was thinking about how to do this and like what needed to happen and like who needed to do it, and I suddenly realized that like I was like, I think that I'm like the person that needs to do this, like I have the skill set, the knowledge, and I'm not saying I'm the
relations.
best. Yeah, the relations, with the city. I know all the understanding of how things happen with properties, and I'm not the best trail builder ever, but I understand trail building enough, and I'm advanced enough as a rider to know what works and doesn't work. And so, if we can find those people, I guess kind of what I'm saying is I'm the guy that's going to make the most of the money. And I don't mean me by myself.
No, yeah, I got you.
It's not my money. It's the community money. And that's my other thing that I think is important is I'm not trying to make any money from any of this. I'm just trying to like create a path for all of us, like have a vision that we all have, that crystal ball. Mm-hmm. It's just how to get that crystal ball to come true, and like there's a lot of things that have to happen. It's not me. There's not one answer to it, Everybody's got to shake the ball. We all got to shake the ball.
Yeah,
we all got to shake it and then just wait or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think that's really important by you coming on here and like us talking about it, and other people hearing your vision. And because I believe that everyone, I can't speak for everyone, but most people that I've spoken with want this to like this vision. It may be different in various ways, but
right.
If we can turn this place into its own version, because it's Texas, we always got to do stuff a little different. Or bigger, but
that would be cool.
If we could turn this into like a Bentonville-like area, they already have the trail system, Salado Creek, OCG, all these trail systems they're trying to integrate with each other, and then use the
and then we got to ask Kohler the rail yard style systems. We need that, and Belmont,
definitely,
and Frisco's bike parks. Those are all really great examples. We need that all tied in to those systems.
Exactly.
A little Belmont here, a little Frisco system here.
And maybe even one with a cover and like an awning, just like a jump park, just to kind of like for those rainy days or what have you.
Dude, that would be sick.
It would
now
be.
You straight dreaming. I love that though.
Yeah, or maybe like an old warehouse.
Yeah, we've talked about that before too, like looking into doing it inside. And I think that's cool, and I do appreciate that rainy day option. But if I was gonna there's been a couple people that have talked about like starting a mountain bike style park like you're talking about, or like investing in it here in San Antonio. I've been privy to those conversations and looked into it before as a business model. I would definitely like if it'd be cool to have a place that had some indoor stuff, that'd be rad, and it'd be nice, especially on super hot days, to be able to go get like a nice pump track workout at a place. What's that place called? Like Joe's, or is that what it is?
I think so.
The indoor mountain bike park, is it Joe's?
In Ohio?
Yeah, that's right. It's like someplace like that would be rad. But I think you definitely have like an outside bit too here.
Oh yeah, of course. You know, I mean,
it was the only way to make it really be profitable. You got like some little stuff inside and the big stuff outside or something.
Yeah, you set up like a little like restaurant. Try to while people are.
Do you want me to give you that crystal ball? You got like a coffee shop, bike shop. Also
or even like some taco
beer.
Trucks on the outside.
Yeah, dude, you got to serve beer and coffee.
Yeah,
you got to. They go with bicycles. It's like
beer and coffee.
Brew bicycle. You got to brew coffee, have brew beer, and have bicycles. I mean, that's the trifecta.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And tacos.
Yeah.
And tacos. Just marriage in the middle. Just make like get a blender. Just throw all this shit in there and just drink it.
Yeah.
That'd be gross. Maybe not. I don't know.
Brew bicycle taco shop. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, if you had all of that in one shop, like I can't believe if I was a bike shop owner in town, that's the way I'd run it.
Yeah.
I'd have like a little espresso machine in there. I'd sell that too. You know what I mean? Like one of my bike mechanics would also be a really proper barista.
There you
go.
know
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
just as long as you don't change the mineral oil with the fucking coffee.
I'm sure they'll be fine.
Yeah,
I figure we'll separate them.
If not, it'll be lubed up in the internal.
We just need bigger. But like, there's so many cool shops that are like in Colorado, or where they're like attached to like restaurants. That's becoming a lot more popular to do these more like common spaces, like a big warehouse and there's like a restaurant in it and a bike shop in it and whatever. I've seen some really cool concepts like that. But that's what we're talking about. We just want somewhere we can like hang out with our bikes.
Yeah, definitely.
And talk about other bike stuff. Like, like let's have a place where there's bikes and beer, coffee, and some ramps. It would be sweet there too if we could ride right there.
Yeah, that would be awesome, just to have it all in one centralized location.
Make that happen. That's a good crystal ball to look at.
Yeah, man. And that, like, I'm pretty sure, like, we aren't the only ones thinking about these ideas.
For sure.
Everywhere we go, we kind of take pieces of what we like of the experience, and then try to bring it back, and then change it for us. So having said all that, like how are you liking your Specialized Enduro?
Ooh, that's a good question, dude. It's the Stump Jumper Evo.
Stump Jumper Evo.
Man, that was a hard decision. I keep wondering if I should have gotten the Enduro, man. But I love it. I love the bike. It took me a minute to get used to how long it was.
It's 29er.
Yeah, and it's 29. So that back wheel, my Yeti was a mullet setup. So getting used to the big wheel in the back was different. I've thought about mulleting this bike too, but for now I just wanted to run it, factory setup, and I haven't changed the brakes. I haven't changed any parts on it. I'm just running factory setup, except for the back wheel's already a new back wheel because, well, me and back wheels. But
don't get along.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they make. I don't know. Like if you're riding a bike right or riding a bike hard, I don't know how. Like we need stronger wheels. We need somehow there needs to be a steel wheel or something.
Yeah.
I'm tired of breaking wheels.
I'm pretty sure
so many wheels.
There's some, I don't know, some type of crossover between a military application will make its way over to mountain bikes in the near future, probably.
Yeah.
It'd be like some type of, I don't know.
Who knows? Some kind of tire material,
like
wheel.
Titanium.
It needs to be like some tire wheel combo that doesn't break. Just don't break.
Yeah, or have more flex or something.
But yeah, dude, I like it. The fact that I can dial the front fork is so cool.
Was it 160, 150?
Well, it's more about the rake of the fork. So there's like a chip that's on the bike. There's two different places on the bike you can adjust it. You can adjust the angle
at the head tube.
At the head tube.
Yeah.
So there's like a neutral setting, 1 degree raked, and then 1 degree like pushed back in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually ran it full. I ran it for a minute standard, then I raked it out, but I'm actually running it raked all the way back in the most crunchy setting, and I'm loving it right there. I'm just like, it's great to have that extra suspension and like that extra rake when you need it, but if you don't need it, like you don't need it. And so like if I go to Colorado, I might turn it back, flip it around the other way or whatever, but right now I'm liking it in the most XC setting. I have it in the high setting and raked in, so
right.
But I haven't tried it in the low setting yet. That'll be the next thing I do, is try it in the low setting. But dude, I'm really liking the bike. That adjustability is cool. The standard part kit that came on it's good. The fact that they went to that bigger Fox shock in the rear with the float.
Was it DPX2?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, makes that really plush. And so yeah, it's just trying not to break it. Yeah,
I got you. The carbon, right? So
it's always scary with me, dude.
Yeah,
I have a special way of making rocks explode.
So I almost went with this, but they didn't have any in stock at the time, though. But it's not that I'm complaining.
Now.
They do now. Yeah, I can't. I mean, unless I were to sell my Firebird, which I mean,
that's a sweet rip.
I'm just trying to get comfortable with it.
That's a good bike. I like that bike.
Yeah, I like it too. The only thing, and it's a small. I feel like such a like so ungrateful because I'm complaining about the water bottle cage where it exists on the bike. I wish it was on top. Well, not on top, but like but you can't. So it's on the bottom on the down tube, and you just you get cow shit in there and stuff.
It is weird.
Rock. But at the same time, it's a small, and it doesn't look right. It's like putting a roof rack on a Ferrari, I guess.
Hanging it down there on the bottom.
Yeah, hanging it down there in the bottom. It just looks like like udders, or I guess it can look like something else.
That's the way it was on my Yeti too.
Yeah.
That's how it was on my Yeti. But I mean, I didn't care about running the bottom one. I wasn't worried about the udders, but it does suck because your bottle's always dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does suck.
I mean,
you can run them backwards though. That's what I started doing. That kind of helps sometimes if you don't lose all your water, or just like throw like a bag over it. Like get like a little baggie or something.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out something because I wear like the fanny pack, like the hip pack, and I would rather, like, especially racing, I'd rather not wear that. But if I want to carry my tools and stuff,
you don't carry them.
Huh?
Don't carry tools.
Don't carry tools when I'm racing. Yeah, and that's something I don't know. In my mind, I'm always like, I'd rather be prepared to, fix whatever.
True. And it is nice, and like a trail repair can save your ass, and some tools can save your butt in a situation. But overall, all of our venues that we race at are, to me, walkout venues. And by that, I just mean like if you break somewhere in Flat Rock, you're a 10-minute, 15-minute walk to the car.
That's true.
You're in the back of Black Sheep, you got a 15-minute walk. Like, start hiking, bro. Go get a new tire. Because
I really feel like that's like slow. Not that I'm really fast, or I'm not trying to make excuses.
No, it does slow you down for sure. And that weight transfer, for me, when I started riding without a pack, the biggest thing that I notice, or when I'm wearing a heavy pack, is how much more weight transfer you feel.
Especially on the turns, you kind of feel like you get kicked out a little bit. And I've been trying to dial in my, like, one things that after looking at the video, which kind of sucks, like there's a part of it where, like, I'm glad I captured this footage for whatever reason, but at the same time it's benefited me because I could tell from when I first started riding to now, like, I could have took that turn faster. I didn't drop the bike down far enough, so I'm able to analyze it from that. So that kind of helps me parse out also, like, you know what, I should probably consider other options and not taking my Camel back, with a liter and a half of water.
Yeah, or
I don't even go through it all.
Or put something else in your some of the other tools, or like the essentials. Put those in your water bottle holder down low on your udder. You know what I mean?
Oh, I got you. Yeah, like a strap.
Yeah, like whatever. Instead of like making that a water bottle, make it like a little toolkit, or like your little first aid /
tool udder.
Yeah, tool udder. Whatever.
Yeah. No, I'll definitely look at that.
I mean, yeah. If you want to carry like a couple things, put those couple things little in that bottle. Make it a dry bottle instead of a wet bottle.
What do you mean a dry bottle?
Like just some dry stuff in it instead of like putting your water in that bottle. Carry your water. I mean, you don't want to carry your water on your hips either.
Right.
Ideally, what a lot of these guys are doing is they're trying, like, especially they're trying to put everything on their bike. Like a lot of these riders are trying to, like you said.
That's why I love the bike you have, because it has a swap box.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Yeah, I haven't even taken advantage of it yet, but I'm gonna put like a first aid kit in there and a tube and a couple other things in there, make my bike really heavy.
There you go.
But at
least the weight's centralized on the bike, though.
Yeah, and it's low, and it's part of your bike, which is it does suck because it makes your bike heavier, but I'd rather have the weight on the bike than on the
That's all right.
than on the on your body, because at least in the moment your bike's doing its own thing and you're kind of working around that.
Right.
So the lower the weight, the better. Put some water, like some guys are doing like the some kind of tubes that mount like on your top tube. It's like kind of like a bladder thing that mounts on there. I've seen some of those.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely I haven't done the research to fix it. It's just something I've been becoming more and more aware of, especially as I ride more, and just kind of pay attention to it. Because when I first started riding, I didn't even pay attention to my cockpit or anything, like where my levers were. And once I kind of got to that awareness, and when I started adjusting them, it made my riding like a lot more comfortable, a lot more. So there's all these things I'm kind of just picking up and what have you. But so for like the Trail Boss Coalition, what do you guys got? Like what's going on next with that? Like where are you? When's the next meeting? When's the...
So I have emails out to the city asking for permission to race. So that's already in the works.
Oh, also, I'm sorry to cut you off. So race with the city, but what's that new position that you just got put on the council board? Or what's
I
that
don't
called?
know that I'm going to take it after all. Talking
Okay.
to Jeff, I talked to Jeff from Storm, and not 100% sure that I'll follow up with that or not. But what it is, and the reason I don't know that it'll be me doing it is I think we'll be represented well by Ann. You
Gotcha.
met Ann. I think she's going to do it. And so I was just concerned that we have a voice in there, and that voice being, hey, going back to what you said, mountain biking is this huge economic benefit. It's making more money. It's making more of an economic impact than golf and
Not only
tennis
economic,
and
mental health.
that was the other thing I was going to say about, man, definitely the mental health thing. I
Yeah.
wanted to bring that up. It was on my list here. I was trying to figure out how
get
to
into it
squeeze
right
that
now,
in.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's such a great thing. And that's trail building, that's trail riding, just being outside in nature. To me, mountain biking is an active meditation, and the fact that it disconnects you with your mind and connects you with your body, connects you with nature. You're focused on these things, and
And
I'm
you
sure,
have to be, because
yeah.
if not, you'll go down. You
Yeah,
have
I'm
to
sure you've
stay-
tried to think about something else,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you start getting in your thoughts, other places you can't
Get hit
process
by a-
in time.
get
Yeah.
hit by a tree branch.
Yeah, so you have to be present. So
Exactly.
that presence creates the disconnect from other things in your body that are creating strain. It also gives you an active way to kind of shake those things off, get some adrenaline flowing, have some fun. You're in nature, and for me, definitely, mountain biking has been that. My mountain biking family has also been like strong for me when it comes to my overall mental health, and I've definitely had some rough years, and I live a really great life overall, but I try and get deep into my emotions and figure some of those things out. And I've definitely had days where I needed to go ride my bike to shake off a day, or
Yeah.
I was happy to have my mountain bike family to want me to come ride, or looking forward to seeing me, because it's you're in a down spot and you're like, well, at least I have this weekend to
Right.
look forward to, or whatever. So I think that's it's a good tool, a good avenue for being active, doing a lot of the things that we know are good for our mental health. It brings a
Right.
lot of things that we know are good for our mental health into one thing. And I think for me is the biggest thing is just the flow of it. I mean, Einstein, these other, there's Tesla, there's a bunch of different famous inventors, past and present, that have put cycling as something that's important to their mental health too. Like Einstein has like a whole thing about why he feels like mountain bikes free us and help creativity and things like that. And it makes sense. I mean, we're doing something that really our brain doesn't quite understand.
Right.
Essentially.
And to tie that into, there's a person I follow on Instagram, Andrew Huberman. I believe he's a neurophysiologist, and he puts a lot of the science to he's a big, I don't say health nut, 'cause it has a negative connotation, but he is pretty active, working out and all these different things. But what he does is he ties the science into the way the brain processes it when you're doing an activity. And he was talking about one of them, like forward, like walking or running or anything you're going forward. It has this ability to, or your brain, as things are passing, has a way of and I'm probably going to jack this up, I'm not a neurophysiologist, but he ties in the science to it, how it benefits you with the neurons and synapses and all these different things as you're moving forward. And I know this, but I'm blanking on it. And how so my point is he's putting, Einstein talked about, you were talking about the benefits of it. And I've read some of those quotes, him, Tesla, and I think Benjamin Franklin or somebody, and they talk about these things about cycling, but it kind of, the way he explains it, it ties together, puts the, if you were to draw the reason why. So my
Makes
point
sense.
is, I'm kind of going a long way to say that it's beneficial. We see it. I've seen it personally, from my standpoint. And then you have the community, your tribe, if you will, be like-minded people, and then you have nature, which you're either trail building or you're within the dirt. You're outside in the trees, and that does something for you beneficial, to our being.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. So
for sure, it's definitely been that, and for me, a mental health release, or something that helps me there, and I see that for so many people. I think that's also why it's so important to the Dirt Therapy Project, and why stuff like that's come about. Dirt Therapy is not the only group that's using mountain bikes specifically to help people get through trauma or whatever. So yeah, man, it's really good for the mental health. And for me, at this point, going back to just like the team and this coalition, and just my overall investment in this sport, it's like all these things are because I see what it does to so many people to help them out. And also the people you get to interact with in this sport when you're having fun with someone, and who you get to make an impact on one-on-one is pretty cool too. But for me at this point, like I'm trying to make it more of a focus in life, to do it consciously, like with these businesses and the shuttling and the coaching, and try and get it out there as much as I can to the people, to whoever wants to go there. Crash.
And that's what it sounds like you're doing. Like like we're all finding through mountain biking, and I don't want to speak for you, but there's like a common thread that goes through everything you just said right now, and that's purpose.
Right, for sure. That's a good one.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's kind of...
And that's where you're here with this.
Yeah, that's why I'm here with this,
Sure, yeah.
Like that's one thing that mountain bike, of course, doing the work through other like programs and stuff that I went through, but finding mountain biking, and then it kind of opening this world to me, and then kind of just keeps unpackaging the different things for me. It sounds like for you as well, it's like mountain biking has kind of led you through all these other ideas where you're going to try to, like your purpose is to like help others in the community and through mountain biking, and that's
for sure.
That's pretty awesome, man.
For sure, yeah. Like, and it's everybody, man. You're getting to interact with people going through hard times and people in good spots, and yeah.
And that's the balance, right? I mean,
it kind of felt funny for a minute, like the mentorship idea for the Enduro Lab. Like a lot of these kids are pretty well-to-do kids, their families and whatever. And I was like, these kids don't need mentoring, these are like the best kids in San Antonio, But at the same time, like I found myself in that role, and I was like, oh no, dude, I'm definitely here for a purpose as far as mentoring these kids, like they definitely all have like something aside from mountain biking that they need to learn, or that I feel like and I feel the same way as far as like what I gain from each one of them, and every person that I interact with, that's the same with riding. That's why we ride together, because we're all teaching each other. That's why we walk this walk in life together as brothers and sisters, The more that we're open and honest and sharing, the stronger we become from it,
Yeah, definitely, man.
It's the walk together, the walk or that ride.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good to be in it.
Yeah, that's definitely it. And there's people from all kind of walks of life that we come into, like doctors, lawyers, and like, people like just like trail builders, and there's all these different, but nobody really talks about it. They're just there to hang out, have a good time, and then as the conversations occur, like people just kind of share like in a natural like way, because we're all there kind of suffering and enjoying the moment together. That brings us together just like naturally. Yeah, man. And I appreciate everything you're doing. And
dude, thank you for having me on. I appreciate all the good questions. As usual, I feel like my thoughts are all over the place. So I hope that it can be compiled in a way.
It'll come out the way it does, man. Like more often than not, like when I first started doing this, I started to like trying to control the conversation just to make it more entertaining. Like this was early on in the beginning. But like after a while, just like one, I don't have the time to be putting into for the editing process, and then two, it's just like, no, like what are you doing? You're like taking away from the idea of what this is. It's a long form conversation, and we're kind of just going through the nuance of what we're trying to talk about, and that's it's better off like natural to happen that way as opposed to it being like scripted and just
For sure.
regimented. But yeah, thanks again for coming on, and I know there's gonna be more coming, and I hope that this isn't your last time you're on.
Yeah.
And hopefully we continue this like maybe a year later or something else like transpires from Trail Boss Coalition, Storm, the city trails, and then keep this moving forward.
Yeah, man.
The
Keep shaking
conversation.
that crystal ball. Keep
Shaking
shaking
it,
that ball.
Yeah, man.
Keep waiting. We don't really. None of us really know what's gonna come out of it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to shake it for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for being part of that show
yeah,
too.
Yeah,
man.
I'm trying to shake it with you, and
Yeah.
if we can get people this push and this energy from the city and mountain biking and this drive all on the same track moving forward, I think it could happen quicker.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks again for everything you're doing. Thanks for coming on, and I look forward to having you on again, man.
Cool, man. Thank you.
All right, appreciate it, man. All
Yeah.
right. Out.
Ow. Good thinking. I had to pee. Dude, was that a good one? Did we do good?
Oh, hold on. Mike.
God.
Yeah, no, you're
I'm about
good.
to rip that thing off.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah. I'm glad I saw it.
I have like second, something about me. I almost shut this off.
Yeah, you're good, man.